You're listening to Substation Gaming. I'm Black Chestnut. With me, I have Rakola.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about E3's death. Very
Finally.
sad. Yeah. so this video is going to be a bit of a funeral.
Yeah.
Gonna
Funeral, wake,
a bit of
something
an
like that.
autopsy.
Yeah. Well, lots of things to relate with death and
Yeah.
bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, straight up, it's done. It's over.
Dunzos never happen again.
Be fair, it's like felt kind of a zombie last few years with like
Yeah.
Sony not even fucking bothering. And was
Yeah.
Nintendo the last one? I can't remember at this point.
Oh man. I don't know. I don't remember.
Was
I don't even remember the last 3 years of E3.
exactly. We've had just Summer Games Fest that's kind of just taken it over.
Yeah.
Jeff just
Yeah,
showed
it
up.
really just a matter of sign of the times where all the game companies realize at this point it's like we don't need E3. We don't need to show up in person,
I'm kind of
you
surprised it went
know.
as long as it did. I think like by like their say like 2006 or something. Like by the time like it was easy to share video online, I was surprised that they were still
Yeah.
bothered with like in person.
Yeah, the reality is they didn't really need it. Like especially since 2013, I'd say especially it was very
Like
unnecessary. It
Nintendo
was
in
just a matter of
particular,
like tradition really at that
yeah.
point.
Like Nintendo specifically like had their Nintendo Directs. Like they could just do whatever.
Yeah.
Sony in recent years finally was like, oh wait, we can just do state of plays,
Mhm.
and Microsoft, yeah, they also just don't need to give a shit. I don't know if they have like a real state of play equivalent, but at the same time,
They have events they do like once or twice a year.
yeah, but yeah,
Like the point is like they realize that they can just host their own digital event and then just put it up, and they
and
don't
get
really need
same
E3.
amounts of buzz. Really, I mean, E3 you're
Yeah,
probably getting less buzz because everyone is covering all of the shows at once. You know.
exactly. And on top of that, even if they want to have a physical presence, right, they still have like PAX, you know.
Yeah, I mean, those are conventions. Like PAX has like more people at it, doesn't? Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like E3, like I mean, it was only just a few years ago that they opened it up to non-journalists.
Hmm. Yeah, it was just like it was really just a product at the time that went on a bit longer than it really had any right to. So it kind of makes sense at this point that it kind of is just done, you know? It's like
Yeah,
the game companies don't need it anymore and it was only for them anyway, you know? They don't need to do this in order to sell their products, you know?
yeah. The only other like in-person thing that like we're missing out on is like demos, but at the same time, so many games didn't even bother with demos at E3.
Yeah. And now that's like on the plus side, it's like if you're not doing a physical showcase now, you're not expected to have demos, which means you don't have to build a demo for E3,
Exactly. Yeah.
which is just easier, you know, on the
Yeah.
developers, you know. So it's like, yeah.
Not to mention tech demos are somewhat rarer than they used to be. Like E3, like look at like their early 2000s ones. It's like 90% tech demos rather than actual like announcements.
Yeah.
Like look at like the early like GameCube ones where they had stuff like Mario 128 or
Mhm.
like Link badly CGI'd hitting a thing.
Oh yeah. And it's like and on top of that, like most of the time, like they would rush out stuff to show off at E3, but then it would always just be like lies, you know?
Well, it was stuff that they needed announcements for E3, but like these games are like not coming out for another 5 years. It's like we got to show something.
Yeah, like I remember the one Killzone trailer that was like a tech demo for in-house that they decided to show for E3 that was never meant to be seen by the public, and it was just super fake, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember like Watch Dogs initial E3, you know, showcase.
Watch Dogs. Oh man, remember that?
I remember. Uh, but, you know, at the same time, I'm still gonna miss E3 to be honest.
It's
You know?
usually fun.
It's just so fun to have everybody get together and actually be forced to compete with each other. You know?
Except for when it's miserable.
I mean, it's
There's
always a
some
little
bad shows.
miserable.
There's some bad shows. There's some boring ones.
Well, at worst they're boring, but usually they're like fun in a, bad way.
Yeah. Ubisofts are fun because they're pretty bad.
Yeah. Ubisofts are usually on the more boring end. I'm more talking about like Wii Music. Remember Wii Music?
Oh boy. That's not even the worst E3. Like,
No,
what is it?
not even close.
Is 2006 the worst one, or 2005? What year was the PS3 announcement? That would have been 2005, right?
I think so. That sounds about right.
Yeah, good old Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer was pretty good. And Peggle 2? Remember Peggle 2?
Peggle 2.
Yeah.
No, actually, I only remember from the memes.
Dude, I do remember the Xbox One and PS4 E3 though. I remember that one a lot.
Or Sony like threw together in an hour that like, oh, you could share games.
Yeah, and they just handed off the game to each other.
By the way, I guarantee Sony was planning the exact same thing as Microsoft for PS4 for like game sharing. I almost guarantee it. They just saw Microsoft just went first and like, oh shit. All right, let's split up them.
I wouldn't be too surprised if that was true, but I also wouldn't be surprised at all if that wasn't true, just because they didn't think of it. Just because Microsoft is always the one to think of the most fucked up and cursed things. And if they can get away with it, then everybody else follows, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody else is like, we can't do that. That's so anti-consumer. No one would fall for that. But Microsoft is so evil and so fucking horrible that they'll just pull any bullshit out their ass and they'll get away with it because Americans are fucking stupid.
At least Game Pass isn't as shitty as PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. But I will never forgive Microsoft for making people pay for online for consoles. Like that's so horseshit.
They got away with it
so much for that.
2002, but fuck, the Xbox 360 having that's like insane.
It's disgusting because they normalized it and then made everybody else stoop to their level.
Yeah. I'm surprised how long Nintendo did without it, but I mean, to be fair, Nintendo barely had online, like even like Wii era.
Yeah.
Or trying to play catch up.
I mean, them not charging for online was at that point a feature,
Yes.
It's like not being scumbags was a feature.
It was a feature. It was.
Yeah. Oh man. I am gonna miss E3, and we can look back and think about all the cool, awesome moments past E3s. Like, remember the flute guy for the Ghost of Tsushima?
That was probably the most shocked I've ever been at an E3 presentation. Like, it was so bad. We had 4 games that all of them were things we already knew about, weren't they?
Yeah, it was like Ghost of Tsushima, like The Last of Us Part 2,
Spider-Man, and something else. And it was miserable.
Yeah.
They just had this white guy in the flute for like 10 minutes. And no one knew what was happening. And then it was over. I mean, it was the one Capcom E3, just like, what was it? Just like 2 years ago, where they had a gameplay trailer for a visual novel. That was pretty funny. That was the only gameplay they had at their E3.
Oh man, I remember back when they showed off like Little Big Planet 3.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was. I remember that direct because they showed off Little Big Planet 3, and then I think either a trailer or 2 after that, they then showed off like Dead Island 2, the trailer for that. The one that Goat Simulator made a parody of.
And now we're actually getting Dead Island 2, aren't we?
Yeah, that's crazy to think about that. It took 10 years.
after 10
that
years.
was like
I hope it was worth
2013,
the
I
wait.
think. It was either 2013 or 2014.
It was ages ago.
Yeah, because it was like, I want to say the year after the PS4 announcement.
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
Or maybe it was the same year. It was either the same year or the year after, I don't remember.
Either way, it was ages ago, and I'm shocked it's real.
Yeah. Do you remember the giant enemy crab that they attacked its weak point for massive damage?
Of course.
So here's this giant enemy crab attack its weak point for massive damage.
Was that the same E3 that they announced the PS3?
Yes, that was a PS3 announcement.
Yeah.
That
had so many memes in it. And we literally already mentioned 2 of them earlier.
It was possibly the most like pathetic E3 of all. PS3 launch in general is kind of fascinating.
I don't know. I think that was the most memorable E3 of all time.
It was. I forgot what year it was. I think it was like the early 2000s. I think it was the Silent Hill 2 E3 for Konami, where they had a guy who just didn't speak English. He just trying to present the game.
Yeah, but it's really funny because in Bravely Second, there's an enemy called the Giant Enemy Crab.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's just Giant Crab. And he has 2 different special attacks. One is massive damage, and the other is no weak points.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that enemy was like mildly early game, because after a while, Bravely Second, I just did the Bravely default thing and turned off all encounters forever. So I'm glad I caught him.
That is genuinely the best random encounter in any video game ever.
Yeah,
full stop. It's really funny because it's a Sony E3 reference in a Nintendo exclusive.
Yeah. What game was Giant Enemy Crab? I want to know.
Oh, I think it was a Dynasty Warriors game, or it was a Dynasty Warriors knockoff.
I'm gonna check. I need to know what game it was.
It was that type of game. It was like a Muso.
E3 Sony 2006. So it was beautiful.
Remember, before he talked about the Giant Enemy Crab, he made sure to mention how realistic and historically accurate the real Japanese battles were. That's why it was so funny.
It's true. It was some game called Genji Days of the Blade.
Yeah.
Genji 2 is an action game which is based on Japanese history. The stages of the game will also be based on famous battles which actually took place in ancient Japan.
Wow, the Wikipedia entry, and it's like on the top paragraph, it brings up Giant Enemy Crab. It's the most notable thing from the game. That's incredible.
It is. No one has ever played that game. I don't think people have played Ridge Racer, I assume.
Ridge Racer is one of the biggest PS1 games ever. Yeah, it was
exactly. But how many people have played PS3 Ridge Racer?
PSP Ridge Racer was pretty popular, not PS3 Ridge Racer.
Exactly.
The PS3 launch. I think it's a kind of fascinating, just like in general, because Sony was like, they just done the PS2, still the most successful console ever.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, what were they thinking with PS3, like in general? Like $600 at launch, no games.
The PS3 has no games.
And now it's like the PS5 is like almost kind of repeated some of those mistakes.
It's really crazy how we went from the PS2, which had the most games ever.
Yes.
Right? There is so many games on the PS2, it's insane.
Yeah.
You can literally never run out of games while playing the PS2. It's like literally impossible. Having the PS3, which has no games, to the PS4, which also has no games, to the PS5
is better than the PS3,
which has no games. Okay, the PS4 has Bloodborne, so it has one game.
It has one game.
Okay, it has one game.
It is actually. I don't think people really realize how dire the PS4 library was before Bloodborne. Like there was like what?
Okay, so in terms of like
1886?
libraries, right? So the PS3, if you got the early model, you could play, most of the PS2 games on it. So it was backwards compatible. So at the very least, you had a fancy PS2 with the PS3, right? So you could play PS2 games on it, despite having no games of its own.
DVDs.
Yep, that too. As for the PS4, it was not backwards compatible, which means it only had one game, being Bloodborne. It's the only game on the PS4. PS5 is also backwards compatible, but the PS4's library, unlike the PS2's, which had 1 billion games, only has one, which means the PS5 library is also only one: Bloodborne.
No. The PS4 has has ports of all the Vita games, so it has 2 other games.
That's true. It does have Gravity Rush 1 and 2.
Yeah, and Tearaway. Don't forget Tearaway.
Yeah.
It's like.
But that's better than Xbox.
I might like the 360's library more than.
Yeah, that's fair. It has Dead Rising.
Yeah. I also hate the PS3 controller for passion.
That's fair. It's just the PS2 controller again, but somehow worse.
I don't know why it feels worse. Like the PS2 controller feels nice and the PS3 one's so bad.
It's because they had to shove in the fucking, what was their shitty motion control called? The 6-axis? Made it clunky.
Yeah, and the shoulder buttons feel awkward. Yeah, I don't want to get.
PS5 controller's decent.
The PS5 is mostly just the DualShock 4, just slightly nicer, right?
Yeah.
Actually,
it's substantially nicer than the DualShock 4, I'd say. It's a lot heftier, it's got good triggers.
Yeah, the triggers are like my only issue on DualShock 4. Like, they're fine when you're playing a game, but if you set the controller down, they'll automatically press. Which was
the PS5 ones do not do that.
Okay. It's a burst in Bloodborne. I know everyone's experienced that, where you're like talking to an NPC, you set your controller down for a second, and then murder them by accident.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, this reminds me of the South Park E3, the console war special.
Oh, it's all so long ago. E3.
Yeah.
Oh.
They made that special to advertise the South Park game. The first one, the Stick of Truth.
Oh man. Stick of Truth's an okay title, but they really got the best title ever with the Fractured Butthole.
Yeah.
It's such a good title.
Yeah. They're making a third South Park game.
No, are they?
Yeah.
Good. The TV show's run its course. Their games are still pretty funny.
No, new South Park's still fine. I don't think it's dropped off that much.
It's not like dropped off like Simpsons level, but
they just had an episode about ChatGPT. That one was pretty funny, honestly.
Oh, I didn't know we were in the middle of a season right now, actually. I thought.
Oh, it just ended. They do it in February.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a half season.
Okay.
But yeah, it just ended, and it was pretty good. Cartman opened up a hot dog stand called Dick and Balls Hot Dogs.
Wow. Not as funny as, I don't know, what's Family Guy up to? That gets a new season every week. Yeah. There's just like 5,000 new Family Guy funny moments every week.
That's true.
They gotta keep the machine going, or else all of these YouTubers will lose their income.
Yeah. Although, funny thing is, so on YouTube Shorts and shit, they'll give you, and like TikTok, they'll give you like the Family Guy clips with random mobile game footage on the bottom. Well, it turns out they also do that with South Park.
Oh yeah.
And everything else under the sun.
Yeah. It's always Subway Surfers, by the way. It's the only game they ever show.
Yeah, well, except for the random mobile games that are like not real games,
Yeah. Or you like collect something to like I like the one where you collect stuff to make your butt larger.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Attack people with it at the end of the path.
Yeah.
That should have gotten the E3 trailer. Oh, you know what the worst tragedy of E3? Where do we gotta get more Todd Howard moments?
Well, he can still does stuff.
I need more Todd lying to me. Actually,
they had one just last year. We're gonna get some like Summer Games Fest because Xbox is gonna be at Summer Games Fest. They're gonna be like,
okay,
now it's time for our Bethesda studio to talk, and then gonna have Todd Howard come on stage. Hi everyone, it's me, Todd Howard. I'd like to announce the newest version of Skyrim, Extra Small Edition, for when you want to play a single playthrough of Skyrim in just under an hour.
I bought another edition of Skyrim last year, actually, so I can't even talk. I bought they made a newer special edition.
Yeah.
That just had special edition with a shit ton of mods on console, so I just bought that.
When are they going to port Skyrim to the iPod Nano?
Oblivion's on the iPod.
Well, where's Skyrim?
Skyrim, they're working on it. They're working on it. Just, you know, that joke one they did with their fridge was real. That was a real game they released.
Of course it was.
Do we have Summer Games Fest? Is that still this year?
That's still this year, yeah.
All right, good. So we'll have a chance for Todd to talk about Star.
The millisecond that the E3 Twitter announced that E3 is officially dead, the dude, Jeff Keighley, immediately tweeted about how awesome Summer Games Fest is going to be this year, and to get hype and to check for the date and make sure the schedule on your thing for. He literally announced the date for Summer Games Fest the minute after E3 was announced to be canceled.
Yep. Hey, did you see the photo of Jeff Keighley at one of oh yeah, here it is. It's E3 in 1995. Jeff Keighley there.
Yeah.
Next to a guy dressed as Duke Nukem. What an incredible photo. It's Jeff Keighley in 1995. He's been plotting its death for over 20 years. He's been plotting its death.
Well, hopefully we're going to get a new Duke Nukem game at Summer Game Fest.
I like how the original Duke Nukem Forever leaked and people have already finished making it into an entire game before we get another one.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to go steal it from Randy somehow. I don't know how that will work, but give it back, Randy.
Yeah.
Give it to id or something.
I don't remember if it was 2014 or 2015. It might have been 2015, but it was the one where they announced Splatoon and Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that, and I very visually remember seeing Splatoon being like, well, what the fuck is this? And I was like, it's a new IP from Nintendo? Nintendo doesn't make new IPs. What the fuck?
Doesn't make games.
What is this? Squid paintball? And I remember thinking it looked very childish and silly.
And now you have 10,000 hours on it.
Yeah, well, not 10,000, but yeah, about. I have over 1,500. But yeah, it wasn't until the Splatoon Direct when I was sold on the game, right? And I was like, it wasn't explicitly until they showed off the Squid Sisters, and then I was like, oh, okay, everything comes together now. I see.
I get what you're doing here.
Okay, I get what you're putting down now.
Those Splatoon Directs were really awkward. The Squid research guy, he was very awkward.
Yeah, it was very weird. It's actually insane how I went from 10% interested to 110% interested just within 1 second of seeing the Squid Sisters.
Biggest fan.
Yeah. If there was more than one game on the Wii U, I would have gotten a Wii U just for Splatoon. Because the thing was the funny thing is, after watching that Direct, I was like, okay, I'll buy a Wii U when Zelda comes out.
Oh, poor Wii U.
Yeah, that was because I didn't have a Wii U when that E3 was, and I was like, okay, after seeing the Zelda trailer, right, I was like, okay, I'll buy a Wii U for Zelda, but I'm not buying it until they release it, because by that time, the NX rumors were already a thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
So everyone knew that the Wii U was already dead in the water.
Yeah.
By the time they announced Splatoon. So, but honestly, I would have bought a Wii U for Splatoon in retrospect,
I don't remember what I bought. I don't think I bought the Wii U for anything in particular. I think it was just a Christmas and it was a new Nintendo console.
Yeah, you just got it because it was the new Nintendo console.
Yeah, I played it a lot.
No, I mean, no, I think there was a lot of great games on the Wii U. Nintendo Land's fun if you actually have people to play it with.
Nintendo Land. It's better than 1-2 Switch.
Yeah. I mean, like, in terms of, like, asymmetrical multiplayer games, right? It's like the Wii U was the shit.
Oh, yeah, it's actually a real shame. Like, a lot of those games, you can't really replicate a lot of stuff.
No. I mean, that's why it was so cool, because it was actually a unique experience. But the only game they ever actually utilized that with was Nintendo Land.
Yeah, after, like, a year or two, like, no one, even, like, Nintendo wanted to touch, like, the game bad.
Yeah. I mean, the coolest thing the Wii U did was make DS games be available on the Virtual Console.
That was cool as hell, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what the Wii U was, effectively. It was a DS as a home console.
Yeah.
You know? With the logic being, DS was super successful, the Wii was super successful. If we combine these two into a single home console, it will be super successful. Biggest flop ever made, not counting the Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Although a big part of that was bad marketing.
Yeah. There was the weird, like, they were trying to still hold on to the casual audience, but the casual audience, like, kind of, why would they want to buy a new console? They still have the Wii.
Yeah.
And B, they had moved on to, you know, stuff like mobile games.
Yeah. But honestly, like, the biggest thing that really hurt the Wii U was the existence of the 3DS.
You think?
Oh, yeah. One of my biggest reasons why I never bought a Wii U is because I saw no value in it, because, like, 80% of the games on the Wii U were like, well, there's a 3DS equivalent, and I already own that.
Yeah.
You know, I had a 3DS.
Mario Maker came out in the 3DS, didn't it?
And it had, like, so many Wii U ports for the 3DS, and there were so many games that were just, like, the same. Right? Super Mario 3D Land, Super Mario 3D World, right? Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 8, you know, Smash Brothers for 3DS, Smash Brothers for Wii U. I don't need to buy a Wii U for Smash Brothers. I have it on my 3DS, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of Mario 3D World, I think that was like the first E3 like I remember actually like paying attention to, was the one where 3D World was like announced, because that was also the one Smash for Wii U was announced. I remember being like, seeing that in the eShop, they had all the trailers up. Like, I got up in the morning, I was like, oh shit, what's all this? Holy shit, Mega Man is in Smash Bros?
Yeah.
There's a new Mario?
Yeah, I remember the E3 where they showed off, like, the Order 1886, or whatever it was called.
Fuck.
That game, right? But the trailer for it made it look like it was Left 4 Dead, but with werewolves in, like, London with steampunk guns.
That sounds bad.
That's what I thought it was when they showed the trailer off. I was like, oh, there's 4 people, obviously 4-player co-op shooter, werewolves. Okay, werewolves instead of zombies, right?
Yeah. That sounds hype as shit. Like, actually,
exactly. It's like, okay, it's London and werewolves meets Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
With steampunk. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool as fuck. And then and it was actually just lame.
I think you fight 6 werewolves throughout the entire game, and it's an hour long.
And it was like, it was actually just a hallway shooter. It was just, you know, another Uncharted or Gears of War, long past the time when those games were like.
All right, evil question: hallway shooter or Ubisoft style open world?
Man, they're both so bad. You know, hallway shooter, because they're less bullshit. Ubisoft open world is like 100% bullshit. The hallway shooter is like 12 hours. It's cinematic. You're basically watching a movie with some mediocre third-person shooting. You know?
Okay, yeah.
At least that, it's like, okay, it's not that long, and like most of it's a movie.
Yeah.
It's like Ubisoft open worlds are just busy work.
Oh yeah.
You know, at least when I'm playing Uncharted, you know, it's like I at least have a semi-decent story.
All times in Uncharted, at least too.
And like Uncharted is not nearly, you know, it's not that bad. You know, I'm not a big Uncharted fan. I don't love those style of games. I don't really like the cinematic style games, but Uncharted is not that bad. right?
You're always doing something fun in Uncharted, except that Uncharted 1. Fuck Uncharted 1.
Uncharted 1's not that great. Uncharted 2 is pretty decent, and Uncharted 3 is pretty
Uncharted 2
good
is
too.
great, yeah.
Yeah, Uncharted 1 did not age the best.
The only thing I remember from 1, like, at all is, like, the jet ski section, and I remember it being hell.
Yeah.
And I played the remaster that, like, fixes everything.
Honestly, I only don't like The Last of Us as much as I do. Not just because I'm not a fan of the style of the game, but I'm also not a fan of the style of story it's trying to say, right? Like, I inherently just really don't like zombie shit, especially apocalyptic zombie shit. Like, I literally...
zombie shit's apocalyptic.
Well, that's his thing. It's like, I like Resident Evil because it's not apocalyptic. Because you defeat the zombies before it becomes apocalyptic. Resident Evil having a happy ending makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
It not being gloom dark, right? It's like we can have zombies, we can have these cool, right, bioweapon scenarios, and it doesn't have to be all gloom and doom.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes Resident Evil fun, is that it starts off as survival horror. As you progress through the game, you get more powerful, and then you fucking blow their fucking shit up with a rocket launcher. You know? It's explicitly designed this way, you know?
Underestimate. I think zombies are most fun when they're like, I think too many things are like, you know, like The Walking Dead, where it's like, oh, it's more about like the people. And like, you know, I want more things about blowing up zombies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's why Dead Rising's fun, you know?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, yeah, I get zombies have always kind of been, it's more about the people, like Night of the Living Dead. Like, that's mostly about people in a house arguing with each other. And that's like the first zombie thing. But
yeah.
I like Dead Rising.
Yeah, exactly.
Mowing down hundreds.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. It's like, so I'm just not a zombie fan. Like, I don't like zombie stories at all. I think it's overplayed, and I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan, so it's like, you know. Yeah, I'm just not a big Last of Us fan. I don't like the story it's telling, you know.
On
top of the fact that I don't like the gameplay at all. You know,
I remember I played when I first got like a PS4. I think I got my copy from you. I think no. I got my copy of Uncharted collection from you. I traded Uncharted 4.
Yeah,
I rented you Uncharted 4 in exchange
for the Uncharted collection. Yeah.
Yes.
Did we ever trade back? I don't remember.
No, I don't think we did.
I'm sure I still have it with my PS4 games. We might have traded back. I don't remember.
Maybe.
Did we ever trade back? I know I traded you like Mario Galaxy 2.
I still have that.
Okay. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It only becomes a problem once one of us dies. Like E3.
Like E3, yeah. When did how are they gonna announce Mario Galaxy 3 without an E3? You're gonna have to that's not right. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Oh man, remember when Doom at E3? That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I should be more sad about E3's death, but it really doesn't feel like it actually died because it just got replaced by like Summer Games Fest and each company doing their own individual event in the same month they would have done E3 anyway.
Yeah. Is it really? I think it's just they're less forced to do it, so I think we might get less stupid shit. In Summer Games Fest, it was wasn't it less structured? Like wasn't it more one big show? Usually at Summer Games Fest.
They do like the presentation, and then it's a week of other people's stuff.
Okay, because E3 was all totally separate. Like,
yeah.
Summer Games Fest is a bit more curated feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember,
that's fine.
But this is unrelated to E3. But remember DokeV at Summer Games Fest?
Oh, when's that coming out?
I don't know.
That's a real game.
A real gamers game for the gamers.
Yes.
I like these movie games for the movies.
No, yeah, I was going to complain about The Last of Us a bit more. I think I played it back when I first got a PS4. I just remember not liking the stealth gameplay a lot.
Yeah, it's not very good.
See, I love like stealth games, but only when they're like completely stealth games.
Yeah.
Like if you're like Last of Us, or just kind of like it just felt like an Uncharted style shooter that just had stealth in it,
And
so it just feels
crafting.
annoying. Oh well, craft that was late PS3. That was before it became horribly like ubiquitous with every game.
Yeah.
I can forgive it a little bit.
It just is so weird to me how overrated The Last of Us was. It's like any game that was a shooter that tried to have a story was given an immediate 10 out of 10. But like, unlike Bioshock Infinite, which people eventually realized, oh, this was actually shit, they haven't done that yet with The Last of Us.
I'm still gonna go from Bat for Infinite, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
People overrated that to shit. I don't think people were like, "Oh, it's the greatest game ever made."
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
remembered.
bad. I mean, the story's bad, but you know,
yeah, it's messy.
Yeah, it went through too many rewrites. During development.
Yeah, there's some clear like a lot of stuff that was clearly cut too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere near as polished as like Bioshock 1, which is like fucking nails that like fuck Ayn Rand narrative.
Yeah, like the politics in Infinite are way too confused, and like, you know, they just pussyfoot around the actual politics. They don't want to actually commit to saying anything that like, oh yeah, America is racist, you know?
Yeah, like the Americana and imperialism stuff's interesting, but then you go to an alternate dimension where the civil rights people are evil.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
you can't pull up both sides are bad in a plot like that.
Yeah,
you're trying to...
it's literally like it's literally that one meme, you know?
Yes. I do really like the meta story about like Bioshock as a series, like the stuff at the end, like the lighthouse and all that, especially of like the DLC. But
yeah, but the DLC is different. But at the same, it also like dumbed down the gameplay by taking away 80% of your guns and making it limited to only 2.
Yeah, it was more of an action game than Bioshock survival horror RPG stuff.
Yeah,
it's more of just. I mean,
it cut out all the immersive sim elements, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. It's more just a linear shooter.
Yeah, and to be fair, like I don't even think Bioshock is even actually an immersive sim. It doesn't actually have enough immersion and like immersive elements. I mean, you can't
rubble in front of people's faces.
It has some light immersive sim elements where it's like, oh, if there's a puddle on the ground, you can shoot lightning at it and it will deal splash damage, and that's about it.
It's a spiritual successor to System Shock 2, and System Shock 2 is the definitive immersive sim.
That's but there's also like stuff that's built upon it later, and by the time it got to Bioshock, it's like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like in terms of like now, like right now, the most overall impressive immersive sim is probably Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, I mean, like the amount of shit you can do. Although, have you played Prey? By the way, Prey's really good.
No, I haven't played Prey.
Prey's good.
To be fair, I'm not an expert on immersive sims. I've only played a couple.
Yeah.
You know. Like in terms of like indie immersive sims, though, Gloomwood's really good.
Oh yeah, Gloomwood. Yeah, because that's just a Thief spiritual successor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which Thief is by the same devs as System Shock, right? I think it's
it's another immersive sim. Right. What defines the immersive sim genre is, of course, having highly interactable environments in a somewhat realistic manner. So it's like if you make noise, enemies will hear you. Right. If you step on specific types of floors, it will make different noises of different sound levels. Right. You'll be able to shoot out the lights. With your gun and all that stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
all that stuff.
Being able to move the crates around and jump on top of them and shit like that.
Bonk people in the head, pick up their corpses, and throw them at other people.
Yeah.
That's the most important mechanic of an immersive sim.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's also Deus Ex. That's the other definitive one, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, there's the immersive sim shooter, there's the immersive sim stealth, and then there's the immersive sim RPG, you know?
Yeah.
And those are like the 3 pillars of immersive sim, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there was, you ever see, I think it's Weird West or whatever, it came out a few years ago. It's like a top-down, like, immersive sim RPG. It was really cool. It was like, Wild West of, like, cool sci-fi shit going on. It was neat. Just a random game.
I'm thinking of a different game with like a similar title, like Evil West, but that was like an action game.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like last year, I think, that Evil West. Just stop putting West in your game titles. They should just, instead of that, they should put spaghetti in their titles. Like
yeah. It's funny because spaghetti westerns are called that because they're made by Italians.
Yeah, that's a great genre name.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine like a Japanese equivalent. So it's like, you know, something. It's like sushi RPGs.
Sushi sci-fi.
Yeah, sushi sci-fi. I don't know. I mean, westerns are inherently an American genre, right? Because it's set in America.
Yes.
Is the logic behind that?
Yes. I mean, spaghetti westerns.
So wait, what if it was like European fantasy, but from Japan, like Final Fantasy? So we can call Final Fantasy like sushi fantasy.
Stupid. Stupid. I mean, spaghetti westerns, you can tell that they're not made by Americans usually. They're usually from Italians. Or also they're all dubbed.
Oh yeah.
Even Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is fucking incredible, is very clearly dubbed.
Yeah.
Italian films from the 70s are awesome. I like Italian horror movies where they're also clearly dubbed. Those are awesome. What happened to Italy? Go start making movies again, Italians. Your movies were terrible and great. We've gotten off topic from E3. Because I don't know what else to say about E3. That's why we've gotten off topic. Remember PC Gamer Show? All right, we're done talking about the PC Gamer Show. actually, I do want to bring up my favorite anecdote with PC Gamer Show.
Yeah.
Gloomwood was supposed to be announced at one of the shows, and they accidentally didn't have it. Like, they accidentally didn't have the trailer, like it was supposed to be like in the middle of the show. So they had to put it at the end.
Right. I remember that. And everyone thought it was going to be Bloodborne PC.
Trailer. Yeah, everyone thought it was going to be Bloodborne because they were like hyping up one more trailer. Yeah. But it was just, they accidentally just didn't have a trailer earlier in the show.
Yeah. To be fair, Gloomwood is more exciting than Bloodborne PC.
Gloomwood's a big announcement. It's by Dusk Dev. That's a big deal.
A new Blood immersive sim is, I'd say, a pretty big deal.
Yeah, by the guy who made like shit. I'd put Dusk like top 5 FPSs ever. Like,
yeah. Honestly, like Gloomwood's a fantastic fucking stealth immersive sim.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to play it. Just my laptop doesn't like it. My laptop doesn't get along with it.
So honestly, I think that's a cooler announcement than a PC port of a game everyone's already played.
Bloodborne PC port is really funny though. Just like everyone constantly expects it to be announced. It's like Sony shut down the studio that made that game. That's never happening. FromSoft doesn't give a shit. They'll just make new stuff. They don't need to.
A part of me does wonder, though, how much of Bloodborne being overrated is due to the fact that it's a PlayStation exclusive.
I think there's like part like mystique at this point, just because like people have so hyped it, like we need a PC port like for years now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just Bloodborne to me is like the most overrated from Software Souls-like, right? And that's not me saying it's like the worst or that it's bad, right? Dark Souls 2 is the worst, right? You know, Demon Souls is pretty fairly rated, I'd say. Bloodborne is just a little overrated in that most people give it a 9 out of 10. I would probably give it closer to an 8, you know?
I get people, if you don't love Dark Souls much, I could consider Bloodborne being like a 10 out of 10. I really love Dark Souls, so Bloodborne is just only like as good as it to me. Like, because Bloodborne's kind of a very different game. It's a lot less RPG focused.
Yeah, and you know, that's one of my biggest issues with Bloodborne is that it still has the RPG. It's still an RPG, but then the RPG elements don't actually matter. You know, there's no way to build your character that's going to be different. The only real choice you make is what weapon you choose. And the weapons will have different stats, but there's no reason for them to have different stats. You know?
I mean, they should just be pick whatever weapon you want, or just have the weapons like unlockable morph currents. I don't know. There's a different way they could have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, the weapons have a lot of variety. Like, they feel really different. But
basically, what I'm saying is Bloodborne could have gotten away with having a Sekiro-style upgrade system, you know?
I think they might have just been Bloodborne, like, almost testing the waters if FromSoft wanted to make something closer to Sekiro.
Yeah.
It almost feels that way. And Sekiro was
like to me, Sekiro just feels so much more focused and so much better than Bloodborne.
Yeah. Did Sekiro even did that have alternate weapons? I didn't play Sekiro all the way through.
It did not have alternate weapons. It had alternate like special attacks, more or less.
Okay.
Like you had a side weapon.
Okay.
That you could switch between and stuff that you could upgrade. Yeah. And by killing enough bosses, you would eventually upgrade your health. If you killed like 4 mid bosses, right? You'd upgrade your health. If you killed one main boss, you'd upgrade your attack.
Yeah.
So it really did not have, you know, any RPG elements. It was just a pure stealth action game.
Which is fine.
Yeah, but like, and another problem I had with Bloodborne is how it felt very samey throughout the whole thing. There was very few areas that felt different from each other. It felt too many areas felt like, you know, Victorian era Gothic architecture township, you know?
I mean, it is like wonderful to soak that all in, but yeah, I agree. After a while, like it does get kind of samey.
It's just like there's like 6 different areas that are all the same visually.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like there are areas that look different, of course, but it's just like it took so long to get there. And it's like,
it's pretty late game when you get to like the really wild areas, like like that castle or wherever the Orphan of Kaz, like that weird. It was Innsmouth. It was Innsmouth town.
I also just like really don't understand why they made the health system the way it is. I don't know why they decided to go back to Demon Souls' health system, even though they already recognized it was objectively flawed. Which is
maybe
why they changed it in Dark Souls.
Like, it'll be like survival horror. You got to manage your resources, and it's like, nah, this like you die every 5 seconds in Bloodborne. It's not like Resident Evil where dying's a big deal. Like,
yeah.
So you don't need to resource manage in Bloodborne aside from the health files being a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Then what else was there? There isn't that much enemy variety, honestly. Like, there's so many areas where the main enemies are just I do
like how the people,
you know?
do slowly get more mutated throughout the game, though. That I do like that part where it is like that same enemy, but they get more aggressive and stranger as the game goes on.
Yeah, but they make up like 80% of all the enemies in the game.
Yeah,
you know. And like, I don't dislike Bloodborne. It's just like I don't see how people see it. I'm not a replay
Bloodborne, but. Shit, I don't know.
That's the other problem I have with Bloodborne, and I really don't understand why they decided to make it this way. Is that if you want to reset an area, you have to teleport back to the hub area, back to the fucking Hunter's Dream, and then teleport back to the area you were already at, instead of just resting at the lantern to reset the area. I don't know why. They did it like that?
That would be totally fine if the loading times were hell.
Yeah, but like the loading times are so long.
I know they patched that. Like they cut the loading times in half, and it was still kind of miserable when I played it.
But the fact that it forces me to sit through 2 loading screens just to reload an area so I can fucking farm it for health files because I ran out of fucking healing potions to fight the fucking boss is fucking stupid. And like that's gonna happen to every person at least once in their playthrough, and that's one time too many.
You just make a PS5 port with like the SSD support, and then you like those loading screens will be like 1 second, and it would be like
I don't know why they didn't just make it so I could rest at the fucking lantern.
I don't know either.
They had that in fucking Demon Souls. I could rest at the fucking the things. It's I don't know what they were thinking. What were they thinking? It's really mind-boggling because they did it all right the first time in Dark Souls 1. So I don't know why they made all these mistakes in Bloodborne when they already made those mistakes in Demon Souls and then corrected it and then went back and redid the same mistakes. Like, how'd they manage to do that?
I have no clue.
it just boggles my mind why they made these decisions of just like, all that shit that didn't work in Demon Souls, let's bring that back.
This is once again PC port. This is why we need PC port. We can just mod these out and just have a perfect game.
Yeah. Once again, I don't dislike Bloodborne. It's just there's a few things about it that like make me so confused why
really
they're even there.
My gears. It really grinds my gears.
It's mostly annoying because there's no excuse for why it should be there at all. It's like, why does this problem even exist? Like, it literally, like, why did you do it like this? You did it right the first time in your last game. That's the exact same as this one. You had it right the first time. Why'd you fuck it up? It's so confusing. Like, why?
Who knows? But we're done with Souls games now. Now we get Armored Core back.
Yeah. See, Elden Ring didn't have any of these issues. Elden Ring was perfect the whole way through.
Elden Ring was like, all right, we're done with Souls games. Let's do it right and just end on a good note. Everything right. Let's just nail it.
Oh, I can't wait for that DLC.
What's the DLC theme going to be? I haven't seen it. I haven't spoiled myself too much or anything.
No, there is no announced theme. It's just a screenshot. The only thing we know is that it's going to focus on the one demigod they didn't do anything with in the main game.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. E3 sure
E3.
is dead.
Bye-bye, E3.
Yeah. You are dead. No big surprise.
And that's fine.
Is there any other E3 moments? E3 funny moments that you remember?
We didn't talk about Nintendo's Puppet Show.
Oh, right. Oh, I forgot about Nintendo's Puppet Show.
That was weird.
When they turned into Star Fox?
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, I remember that.
We got that mediocre Star Fox game.
Yeah, remember the Robot Chicken sketch with Nintendo?
Yeah, where Reggie killed a man.
Come on, Reggie, give us Mother 3! How about this instead?
Yeah, he really did kill a man over asking him to port Mother 3. We still never got Mother 3.
That's a good thing.
Maybe.
It's actually thematically appropriate for you to pirate the game.
I suppose. I mean, it is fair because they would have to censor it because it has like drug use and queer people in it.
Just print a T, like Earthbound.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
okay, they don't have to censor it. There's nothing actually wrong in the game that they would have to censor, right? Like the Magypsies are not actually offensive.
I mean, yeah, the Magypsies are they're whatever. Like, I don't think they're like
their designs
like,
are based off of drag queens. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah,
like, if you actually are offended by that, you're a fucking loser. I'm sorry.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like they're like treated like in a bad light or anything. Aren't they like good characters?
Yeah, there's only one bad Magypsy, and he doesn't dress like the rest of them.
Wow. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also a matter of the one translation's kind of perfect, and
yeah.
Nintendo isn't. I mean, there is precedent for I've seen fan translations picked up, but never for like a game as high profile as that. Like, I think there's too many weird legal loopholes there. And making a new translation would be a ton of work, and it also just probably wouldn't even be like as solid as a current fan one.
The whole thing is just such a weird case.
Yeah. Although, hey, seeing it show up on just the Nintendo Online GBA is something that could just happen any day. Like, I just see that.
They literally could just happen.
I mean, it happened with Earthbound Zero on Wii U.
Yeah. It honestly could happen.
Yeah,
like
just be like a random drop. Like, here's Mother 3. Now let's announce it like at their next Nintendo Direct. Like, that could just happen. like out of nowhere. I wouldn't even be surprised.
Yeah.
I feel like a purple Pikmin. That was an E3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think they were talking about Wii Fit. Remember when Wii Fit Trainer got into Smash Bros?
Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah. Remember when Pac-Man was announced for Smash Brothers at E3?
Actually, I think Smash Bros announcements are my fondest E3 memories, but also those have happened at plenty of non-E3 events at this point, so I don't even care.
Yeah, remember when Sora got announced for Smash Brothers?
Baby Jesus?
I did definitely think it was Dark Souls for a good minute.
When I saw the fire, that was yeah.
It was going to be John Dark Souls.
Would it just be generic?
I mean, the title would be Chosen Undead.
Would it be?
Yeah, that's the name of your character, Chosen Undead.
Part of me believes it could be Solaire, considering he got an amiibo.
No. It would just be the Elite Knight set. They might give him all the starting armor sets, though.
As alternate costumes, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Unironically, I would not be surprised at all if in the next Smash Brothers we did get Chosen Undead in.
We're gonna get Monster Hunter instead, as big armor
that's
guy.
Fine.
Consider we got Rathalos, I'm surprised we almost did it.
I feel like Rathalos is a kind of better representation for Monster Hunter than
it probably is. It's more iconic than a character, yeah. The actual monsters. We still need Ring a Bell from Bravely Default, though. He needs to make it in.
We're never gonna get a Bravely Default character. We might get an Undertale character, though.
Actually, yes, we got the Sans Me costume, so it's possible.
I mean, if the next Smash Bros. If like Deltarune is finished by the time the next Smash Bros. Game comes around, which is very possible. It could be Chris.
It could be.
Yeah.
I want Ralsei. That'd be the funniest possible one.
You could just be part of Chris's moveset.
No, I want Ralsei where 4 of the costumes are Ralsei without the hat.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Ralsei, Mercedes-Benz.
I think we stopped talking about E3 a while ago.
We did. Remember when Xbox had a car at E3?
They had a car at every E3.
They should have done that more. I think that would have saved E3.
How do you have more than one car at every E3? You want to have 3 cars at every E3? They did that one time. One of them was a Lego car.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
I'm going to have to Google all these images to put up on screen.
You're right. We should talk before you have to Google more. I mean, we should end before you have to Google more.
Do you have any other E3 moments that you remember?
I don't know. I think we talked about all the good highlights. We talk about how terrible Ubisofts are usually.
They always have that musical number, but they all blend together.
Yeah, they all kind of blur.
And then they show off the new Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all the same game every time.
And Beyond Good and Evil, we didn't get.
Yep. We're probably better off without it.
Yeah.
I don't think any Beyond Good and Evil fan would have been happy with it.
That's true. Yeah, I think we're done.
Oh man, remember when they announced Undertale 2 at E3 2017?
Oh man. Remember Silk Song when that came out?
Yeah. That's supposed to come out this year.
Oh really? That's no way.
Yeah. I remember back last not E3. Microsoft showcased a new trailer for Silk Song, and they said every game that was showcased in their presentation would come out within 12 months. So I mean, Silksong's supposed to come out this year.
Oh boy.
Or maybe it was, I don't know. But sometime before E3 it's supposed to come out, supposedly.
Hype. I still need to beat Hollow Knight.
Wow. I mean, I know it's a above average length Metroidvania, but
see, that's the thing about Metroidvanias. They're all like 5 hours long. So Hollow Knight, like I kind of get burned out after like 15 hours.
It is like a 40-hour game.
It's really long.
It's
and then like
really
when I want to go
long
back to
Metroidvania.
it, it's like I don't even know what's happening. Where do I go next? I can't remember. I gotta
The
restart
nice
the game.
part about Hollow Knight is that there's no wrong direction to go because it's completely non-linear.
Yeah.
You know, so even if you get lost, it doesn't matter. Just go in some direction, you'll find something cool.
Yeah. But then it has the Dark Souls problem where you loop back in on yourself.
That's just how Metroidvanias are. That's the whole point. It's supposed to loop back in on yourself.
Yep.
Anyway, we've been going for an hour.
Yep, that's a good length.
I can't think of any E3 moments.
Yep. We talked all the good stuff.
We said all the memes. Yeah.
The meme.
Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Holy crap, that was an hour. And we were rambling through most of it. A lot of that was not E3.
The rambling ones are the best ones, though.
Unironically, they're pretty good. I'm going to try to get some funny edits for this. Yeah, it's gonna take me like 3 days. It's fine.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.